Well, hello and welcome to the Damp Show, and we've got part two of Helen Woodacre. Hopefully, you'll have enjoyed the first part, and I think you're going to enjoy this second part. Hello, Helen.
Hiya.
Thanks for coming back.
No problem.
It weren't recorded in two parts. This was just recorded in one, and we'll kick off from. I think it was you finished at KLM, which is airline.
Yeah, that was first airline I worked for, KLM, and I was 25 then.
25.
But
Did you have any scary moments up in skies?
When I were at KLM, they flew on Fokkers. I said that, and they're quite small aircrafts. Then they had a bird strike, and then so we took off, and I think there were big birds like a group of swans or something. What they flew into. They said like we're doing everything's an emergency landing because they don't know what damage plane's in. So even though you're not in much of an emergency, they said we're having an emergency landing. So we turned round and landed again. And when I got off plane, it looked like it'd been writ off. I couldn't believe.
Did it go into engine?
No, it went into nose, and there were a dint in it. And I'm thinking, how big was bird? What you hit a dinosaur? It were absolutely massive. I couldn't believe it. I don't know how many there would have hit like, but I just couldn't believe a bird had done that damage. So things like that. Lightning, when it's bad, storms.
Through windscreen.
Yeah. We had, I always used to watch Aircraft Investigation. I loved that. And I can always remember, I think that would be it, I'm not sure. Windscreen came out at flight deck on there, and when they looked back to it, it were a screw what were like a millimetre too small. It had been put in wrong box, so they'd had windscreen changed, and when it had been put back, this screw were a millimetre or something like hardly any difference what you can't see with eye. And they'd done a few flights, and then windscreen came out, and I think it was captain. He didn't have his belt on because they don't fly with the belts on constantly. And he flew out at window and his legs got stuck and he were hanging on nose at aircraft, and from his knee to his ankle were inside plane. And rest were hanging out. And
did they have this on film?
Yeah, it were on.
Really?
It were on Aircraft Investigation. Yeah,
what,
they saw him landing because they've got it on film, and he's landing and he's outside. God. And he got hooked on, and I think he dropped unconscious because he wouldn't have been able to breathe. So they did a rapid descent, and he survived.
That's what they say. If because I've read up on it, if you fell out of an aircraft, so if somebody opened the door and you fell out, or something happened, there were a big explosion and you fell out, you'd go unconscious straight away while you're dropping. But then when you get to a certain altitude, you wake back up. so you wake up just before you hit bottom. So when it's like, you'd be like, wake up, you're like, oh, I've survived. And then bang. That's it, game over. But, so, them are your scares. What happens next? Where did you go to from here?
So I stopped at KLM for a year. Then I applied for GB Airways, which is I didn't even know British Airways did franchises.
Why did you go from one to another?
Well, that
for
were
more money.
Well, it won more money, and it were only 12 months contract. A lot of airlines, especially through summer, they do a lot of 6 months contracts.
Is this for short hauls or
short? It depends. Through summer, there's just a lot more flights, isn't there? So they need more crew. So, like holiday destinations, they might get people in on shorter contracts.
Do they renew every year now? So you said it's a short contract, but I'm just trying to think of them at Virgin, whether she'd have to sign a new contract each year.
No, we didn't. It were once you. But I can remember GB and EasyJet where I worked for. I had a full-time contract, but they would get some in for summer.
Yeah.
And it were a lot of them, if people left, they got given full-time contracts. So a lot of people did end up stopping on. But yeah, they would hire some crew just for summer. But it's expensive to train them. Your training, it lasts for so long. That was another thing. When I went to GB Airways, I did training, and I'd done it obviously at KLM. And it's different because it's different planes. You can only be checked out on so many planes at once. That's the same for pilots. They can't fly.
Did you see that were in news yesterday? I don't know if you saw it. This were a Virgin. This were on yesterday's news. plane full of people. I don't know where they were flying to. So they got on this Virgin plane. They've set off. They've been flying an hour, and then they got an announcement saying they're going to have to turn back. I don't know which airport it was. So they had to turn back. And reason why were because both pilots weren't qualified to fly that airplane, and they'd put it down to something to do with rotor. Apparently, they both could fly,
but not together.
No, but they weren't. One of them weren't qualified to fly that plane, and because two of them weren't qualified, it was something to do with procedures and stuff. But anyway, they had to turn back and land. So you'd been flying an hour, and then they had to go back.
It could be a big deal, but it could be something really minor.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's freaking you to death if you're on plane, because they're about to say, won't they? You know what I mean? We're going to have to fly back because...
It would if you didn't know, but he's obviously comfortable flying plane, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
So it might be just, I don't know, it could be out, but it could be like they've changed this one little procedure or this, and he just hadn't had update on it or done test. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they weren't in any danger. But it's just ticking a box, isn't it? So they can't go.
They'd have frightened passengers to death, because they were like, if they wouldn't have told them why, it's like, everybody's wondering then, is there someone looking out the window? Is any planes on, any engines on fire?
It's bad because it costs like hundreds of thousands that would cost them.
Oh,
That's a big mess up for Virgin. How much money that has cost them.
In compensation.
Just because somebody's put somebody's wrong name on a rotor.
Have you got any tips for compensation for people?
I ain't got a clue. People ask me stuff about in airport, and I think, I don't know. I only know one plane.
I once going I think we were going, and they had an announcement. I'm trying to think where we were going, and they said plane were full.
Yeah.
Even though we were booked on, plane were full.
They overbooked, don't they?
They're wanting volunteers to catch next plane or get another plane, and they were going to gear us. How much did they gear us? It was something like £300. So it was basically price at plane ticket. So we kind of just straight away, and we were going to Amsterdam. So we put his hands up, and there were foreigners, and they got us a shuttle bus that took us up to, I think we were at Birmingham. They took us up to Manchester, and I think we were only 4 hours behind them once they got
landed.
there, and we got like an extra, whatever it was, £300-400.
Yeah.
So that's a tip. If anybody,
I don't know if they do it so much on. I don't really know, but I would assume they do it on cities rather than holiday destinations, because a lot of business people buy tickets, don't turn up. Do you know when it ain't your money? We had loads at Amsterdam, people not turning up, but it's a major city, isn't it, where people are travelling for business as well. So
but if nobody volunteers,
they'd have took somebody off.
They start picking people at random. Well, they say at random, like they start picking people, and they say, "Well, you can't go on, you can't go on."
There's no what you
might
can
be
do.
last people that checked in or something. That ought to be fair way, didn't it?
Yeah,
last people to check in.
I don't know how it all works, but you're going to be peed off, aren't you, if it's you?
Yeah, if it's Christmas.
And should they be allowed to sell something what they ain't got? You know, if every seat's sold,
they'll be covered within the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
They'll read it that many times.
I'll tell you what they always used to do, but I don't know if they get away with it as much now, is airlines, they used to, if it were an act of God, it kind of weren't their responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Weather and things. But then they'd pull other things in. So it snowed, like, if it can't physically take off or land, like, what can they do about that? But then they're delayed, they ain't got enough planes, they ain't got enough crews. When weather gets better, that's not act of God, is it? But you ain't got enough spare staff. But they used to try and do that. I don't think with Martin Lewis's and likes now they get away with it.
I think when it changed over, because it was a few years ago when they changed over to that, they were trying it on and stuff, and I think a few got took to court.
Some airlines are way worse than others as well.
Yeah. What about any tips for getting upgrades?
I don't know. Again,
I don't think you can now.
It's ground staff that.
Yeah.
When we used to fly, when you work for an airline, you can get cheap flights, and you can get cheap flights with others. So you can get, again, every airline does it different. When I were at GB and KLM, they were in partners with other big airlines, Virgin and things, and Singapore Airlines. I got some flights to Dubai for £82 once.
Really?
Yeah.
£82?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
But again, all taxes have gone up now. They won't knock out off your taxes. So even when crews are getting cheap flights, they've still got to pay tax. That doesn't do. We went to America a couple of times on cheap flights.
My tip for getting upgrades is this.
No kids. Don't have kids.
Yeah, this is tried and tested, and this works. So you've got to be dressed smart.
Yeah.
And this is only if they've got seats available. Bear in mind this were back in 90s, so I don't think it works now because I think they just say you've got to pay for one. But when you go up to check in, get yourselves some free bags. If you've been at VIP or if you've been in in cafe,
lounge.
Yeah, send some free chewing gums or some free sweets, little packets of sweets. And when you go up to the counter, you say to a woman, you say, here to check in, blah blah, talking to them, and then you say, you look shattered. Do you want one of these sweets to bring you around? And they'll refuse straight away. They'll say no, you're okay. And you say, you can have one if you want. You look, because you've offered them something, they feel obliged to give you something back.
Right.
So this is what it is. It's part of selling.
And have you done it?
I've never got an upgrade. I've never got an upgrade. But I'm from Barnsley. I'm not going to do. But if you've more a better accent than me, you might get an upgrade.
That were just all right. It were hard work. But then when I went on Deal or No Deal,
thing is though,
that were amazing.
When we watched it and you were coming on, we couldn't wait to see what happened because we didn't know
what
what happened.
Well, it's good watching somebody
you
know.
You didn't say when you were going to be off or not.
Yeah. What's this on Coach Trip or Deal or No Deal?
Coach Trip.
Yeah. So it were just all right. That, you know what I mean? It were hard work, really. Yeah. But when I went on Deal or No Deal, I don't know if they do 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 shows in a day. They do a lot. And you go Monday to Friday, then you go home for weekend and do Monday to Friday again. And I don't think anybody does more than 2 weeks.
This is at Bristol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hotel's nice, people who you're in are nice, all staff are nice, and it's quite rushed. Like everybody said, what's Noel Edmonds like? I think I don't know. I never talked to him. Like it is very right, we're ready to go. And it's very fast paced, but that were enjoyable. That were 2 weeks. Every night you'd be in bar in hotel and everybody on having a laugh, old or young or something. So it were your mates came. So Alex came and watched. A couple of my mates, Luke and his boyfriend came and watched, and they just stopped in hotel with us. So it were a good 2 weeks. That I really enjoyed it. I'm still keeping contact with some people off there, and I won some money at end.
What were your number? What can you not remember what number you had?
I want to say 5, but I'm not sure. It were 5, 7 or 9. I know I picked them to start. No, they were the first ones I started picking out. I want to say 5. It were I think.
So what we did, we had a party, didn't we? Can you remember that at your house?
No, it were at Andrea's.
Were it at Andrea's?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
100%.
I thought it were at yours.
Because we gave it were.
It were at yours, and we all had a number each. We all picked a number.
It were at Andrea's.
Because you wouldn't tell us what number.
What we did is, so Dave's Andrea's husband, his cousin had died of this heart condition, and they were doing a charity thing for it for every year. So we said, right, we'll raise some money for that charity. So everybody had a guess at how much I won, or yes, they had a guess, and whoever went nearest won money, and we all put. Did we all put?
If we all put something in,
20 quid in, and half of money went to charity, and whoever guessed what I won on night, or nearest to, they won other half. So it were a couple of £100, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can remember who won it.
I were nowhere near.
It were Dean Phillips, Zoe's husband. Dean Phillips won it. So we all went to, I know it were at Andrea's because she were doing it for charity. So it were at her house.
How much did you win, Helen?
22,000.
And how close were you to winning something a bit bigger?
So when
you picked your box, were you a bit like sort of, I might have that one, or did you just go, I'm going to have my lucky number, or?
Do you pick your box or do they give you one? You must pick. You pick one, I think. Oh no, or are you given it?
I think you're given a box and then you can swap it.
No, you're given your box and then you'll pick your box up when it's your turn.
Yeah.
And you'll pick your box because you stood there in semicircle and everybody's got a box in front of them, which you're given. And then you pick your box up and walk to the front with it, don't you? So you're given your box. But you don't have to keep it. At end, you can swap.
Yeah, that's it. Box that's left at end.
Yeah. So when I started picking them, I don't know if it was first or if not in first, because you picked 3, I picked 500,000. Is it 500,000 or 250,000?
250,000.
Yeah, so that got wiped out straight away. Then I wiped another big number out and another.
It's okay.
So I was terrible. I never got offered. They were offering me, never got offered like over 5,000 for nearly all my alt game because I was just knocking alt reds off.
250 went to start with.
Yeah, I was just knocking alt reds off and had loads of blues. And then in last 2 picks, I cleared some blues, and I think second to last offer, he said you can have 10,000. And Alex were in audience. And in my head, I didn't say out there because I think they'll watch you. Because people who they can see would go for a low offer. They only give them a low offer.
Yeah.
And when it came round to me and they did a sweep and I started all this going, no, don't take it. And I wouldn't, because I knew going, under 10 grand, I'm never going to take.
Yeah.
I knew that. Under 10 grand, I'll just keep going. And they said 10,000. And Alex, I'd been offered nothing all way in and board was still rubbish. And Alex is going, take it. And I'm thinking, no way, I'm not taking it. And I had 20,000 left, I think, 20,000 and 75,000, and all the rest were blues. And if I'd have carried on, I would have had to take another 3 picks. So 10 grand wasn't a bad offer.
Yeah.
There were a couple of reds and, I don't know, 6 blues or something. So chances are you're going to go with one at blues. So I thought, no, I'm not taking 10. That's the only time I actually thought, shall I take it or not? So I thought, no. So then I started picking next and I picked 2 blues. And he stopped me before last pick and said, I want to make you an offer before you pick your last turn. And there were 20 grand left, 75, and something like a fiver or 50p, a low blue. And he said, I'll offer you 22 grand. And really, when you can tell what he's going to offer you, and I thought he was going to offer me something like 16 or 18, because you've been there for like all them games. It's on telly for months and months and months, isn't it, when you're on?
Yeah.
And I thought, he's going to offer me something like 16, 18. I'm not going to take it. And he said 22. And I thought, that's more than he should be offering, because they kind of know, they must watch you, and they know what you're thinking. And I thought, 22, that's more than you should be offering normally. So and I thought 22, that's same as 20 grand, so I'm counting them at same. So really I was looking at this fiver and 75 grand. I'd took 20 out of the way, and I thought, right, fiver, 75 grand. He's offering me 22, and I thought, it's too much to lose, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I weighed it up that way.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah.
If it had been a fiver, it's a big drop in it.
It is, and, some people might disagree, but 22 were in the same bracket as 75 for me. What's going to be it isn't life-changing money either of them, is it? It is if you're skint and you've got nothing, but you wouldn't have got that far. If you needed 5 grand or 10 grand, you shouldn't have gone as far as me. You should have took 10 grand when it were there.
Yeah.
So I thought, none of them are life-changing, really. None of them are going to make a massive difference to my life. So I thought, it's not worth risking. I'll just take 22, and it's nice, 22 grand, isn't it?
So what in box?
20.
Oh, what it? 20?
Yeah.
That's all right then.
Yeah. I think it was 20. I can't remember.
So did 75 go next box?
I think, no, because I stopped. Once you take it, you stop. And I had one more box to pick, but he stopped me before, which they don't normally do.
Right.
Before I picked last box, he stopped. Yeah.
Did you have an order of what you were going to, cause you've got your semi-circle. Had you got an order, or were you just going, as you felt?
I think I started picking, like my birthday's 5th at 7th. So I think I don't know if I had 5 already, but I think I started picking like 5, 7 and picking dates like that. And it would just like pick a red, red, red. So I thought, right, I'm stopping that. I'm stopping picking numbers what means something to me because I'm having a nightmare. But again, you just pick and it doesn't matter until you get to end. It doesn't matter what you pick. Like I said, I picked biggest number straight away and lost it.
Did you feel, because obviously behind the scenes stuff, you know, when the sort of at the beginning he'll go so and so. Did you know you were coming up before he said it?
No, but you had an idea because they did 4 shows. I think they did 4 shows, but 3 on a Friday, something like that. Because they did 4 shows, nobody's there longer than 40.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So when you were getting out past 25 shows, in between 25 and probably 35, you were thinking, and they do 4 a day. So you're kind of thinking, I got to the stage where I thought, right, I'm probably going to be on Wednesday or Thursday. You could lower it that you kind of had a good clue. I'm going to be on today or tomorrow because you were thinking how many shows does it go on for?
Because you've been there for quite a while, had you got more comfortable? Because if you'd gone on first day, would you have been nervous and maybe tripping over your words and stuff, or did you think like, well, I could go tomorrow and I think I'll do all right on it because you've heard what people are saying, you know what questions is he going to ask you and things like that.
Yeah, probably you got used to it, so you weren't as nervous because you'd been in studio for a full week.
That might be why they leave it a bit longer, and that's because it might be a better experience because you feel a bit more comfortable in there. But I've said, we're on about it with Mel, they should fetch it back, but it should be for $1 million. Because a lot of game shows that's on at minute, the prizes don't reflect inflation. So I can remember when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire first came out, £1 million. It was like, I can't believe that. You can win £1 million on telly.
No.
Nah, it's like, oh, it's £1 million. It should be 10 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People,
do they do all like that in America?
I think so, but I've not done my research, so
Right.
I don't know what prizes.
I know what you mean though. It depends as well because Deal or No Deal we're on every day at week.
Yeah.
So that has to be in comparison. But
what you've got to remember,
most people didn't walk away with 20 grand, so they weren't giving that much money away.
Yeah, but what you've got to remember now is that these shows are not getting viewers.
No.
It's like, you know, they might only get like 1 million or 2 million people watching, whereas back then it would be like, you know, 15 million people watching at tea time or something, you know, Deal or No Deal or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. They say 18 million watched him that in my coffin.
Or were he a major or something, or corporal, I don't know, major Sunday.
But that's what I think. I think if they fetch one of these shows back, or I mean, you've got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it should be Who Wants 10 million. Do you know what I mean? And that would have some interest. First person to win 10 million on telly or something, or £1 million on Deal or No Deal. That'd be worth going for, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
A player you can't go because you've been on once.
Yeah. So out at 3 where I applied for, I ended up going on tour.
On tour shows.
Yeah.
You didn't get other one. So I tell you about when I once went on to Ant and Deck years ago. They had because I used to apply to go on them and I never got on any. But Ant and Deck had a show and it was called Red and Black. So it weren't that one. It was 15. Not 15. What one that thing he used to do?
One with adverts.
No. Well, what one that on BBC? I think they fetched it back with that Asian guy, but she was right curt. I can't think what they called it. And you vote people off in like a semicircle.
Weakest Link.
Yeah, Weakest Link. So
Anne Robinson.
Yeah, so I applied to go on Weakest Link, and it were in York. I'd get to go up to York, and I didn't know what to expect.
Why Ant and Deck? What do you mean? Were they?
No, because I applied to go on Red and Black as well.
Oh right, sorry.
And that were in York as well, because that's why I'm getting them mixed up. But first one that I went for, I drove up. I didn't tell Mel I was going and applying, but sent my application form off, and they said, "Can you come for an interview?" So I went up and I knew that you'd got to, because they're watching you all the time, so you've got to be sociable, like talking to people. Hey,
Yeah.
you come far and all this. I'm
Tell
trying
you
to
what
talk
else
to
you have to
people.
do. You have to be able to talk. When you watch anything now, even if you don't have to be loud, you can be a quiet person.
Yeah.
You can be a shy person, but you have to be able to talk to camera.
So what did you do after this then? So once you've done your courtship and your
Yeah, so
no deal.
so then that's
You're
when
loaded.
I loaded,
absolutely
got me
loaded.
22
Yeah.
grand, and
throwing tenors out.
everybody going, what did you do with it? What did you do with it? And I thought, put most of it on my mortgage. Like I've always
You had
been
an holiday,
sensible.
I think you had an holiday.
Yeah,
didn't you?
it is nice. Don't get me wrong. 22 grand's lovely, isn't it? But I had bills, so I've always been sensible, me. So I think we put most of it on as mortgage,
Yeah.
and then obviously we had, I don't know how much we kept, 6 grand or something in bank and spent it.
Yeah.
So it were nice, but it were a good experience. That really fun, really enjoyed it. It were a good laugh. Even if I'd have come home with note, I'd have still been really glad I went on Deal or No Deal.
So back to what you used to keep yourself fit.
Yeah.
And you did an Iron Woman.
I didn't do an Iron Woman, a triathlon.
It was a triathlon, yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they the same? What's
No,
different?
they're different. So you do one called mini, then you have a sprint. I did sprint
Is
one.
an Iron Woman 25 mile, and then it's to do with distances, isn't it?
Yeah, so I just did a sprint one, which usually took me about 2.5, 3 hours. I did a couple of them. So, and then after that, it's they're doing Olympics, what Brownlees do. That's next level. And then after that, it goes to half Ironmans and full Ironmans, and they're do a marathon at their run at end. So
what made you want to do one of them?
I were always doing loads of exercises. I'd just been to a boot camp. I used to go to boot camps, Northern Boot Camp. They're brilliant. If anybody wants to go on a boot camp, look them up. They're amazing. And I'd been with some friends sometimes, and I'd been by myself. I went on one of theirs, what they did abroad as well. I went by myself in Portugal, boot camp abroad. So I'd just been to a boot camp, and it were up in in Bamborough, Northumberland, yeah.
Yeah, London.
And she said where she was there, woman who runs it, I'm trying to think of her name, Dan, and I'll think of it. Anyway, so she were up there and she said, oh, we're doing these, there's a triathlon, a sprint triathlon, what they're doing at Bamber Castle. You should do it, Ellen. And I'm like, oh, I hate running. Like, I hate running. Love swimming and biking. I ran. I'd always go for a run for half an hour, but running weren't my cup of tea. And she said, it's only a sprint one. Like, it'd be a good challenge. And I did a little look and what average people do it in, and they're all coming up about 3 hours. And I thought, oh, it's a bit of a challenge to, like, exercise non-stop for 3 hours. So, and I wouldn't have wanted to do an half marathon or out like that. So I thought, yeah, I'll do it, I'll sign up. So that's what made me do it. And then trained for about 3 months for it, swimming, biking, running every day. And distances weren't too bad. They were just under a K swim. And then you do a 20K bike, is it 20K? 20K bike ride, then you do a 5K run at end. But that one at Bamborough, I'd never done them before. Usually, sometimes they even do swims in pools, or they do them in a lake. That were in sea.
Yeah.
That's a different story,
Open
swimming in
water.
sea, yeah. So even swimming in a lake is totally different to swimming baths. So that were in sea, which were probably the hardest swim I've ever done in my life. But that's a K.
So what's furthest you'd swum before you decided to do your...
Well, I'm quite a good swimmer, so I was going at Metrodome and just doing 100 lengths, just steady away, because with Metrodome, I think I worked it out. My swim were only 30 odd lengths.
75. When I were at school, I did my mile when I were in first years, and I think that were either 75 or 76 lengths. I don't know how big pool was. It was like at St Helens, and it was 76 lengths.
I don't think it'll have been 25 metre pool that. But anyway, so...
Oh, no, it weren't
yeah.
25 metres.
So I think this swim what I were doing was something like, I don't know, 30 odd lengths at Metrodome. So I always used to go to Metrodome, watched a few videos, because I could swim, but I thought I've never really done it competitive. So watched a few videos on YouTube. Breathing. Because first I started swimming, 6 lengths I were out of breath. no muscle fatigue,
Yeah.
but just out of breath. And then I got my breathing right. Then I concentrated on my stroke. At one bit, I had Alex just holding my legs in water, and I was just stroking on water, on spot. He held my legs, and I was just stroking. And when I looked into it, I said a lot of people who are doing triathlons, they try not to kick the legs much in swim, and then they've got them left foot bike and run.
Right.
So I started with front crawl, and I would just fluttered my legs every now and again and just concentrated on arms. So by end of it, if I went at Metrodome for an hour, I'd easily do 100 lengths, not stopping once, just crack. And I thought, right, so I can swim now. I learned to swim good. Didn't try and do it fast, didn't try and kick my legs, just whack out 100 lengths, I'd get out, get straight on treadmill, I'd be fresh. So I got to that. So that was quite easy because I was quite good at swimming anyway, but I didn't really know how to do it good. So I got that, and then after that, I thought, right, I've got to go to open water now. So I went to, there's Manvers, or there were Pugneys, pick Pugneys. That is green. That water is green, and it's just full of duck shit. It is horrendous. So I got in water.
You get a peg on your nose.
They only start it at a certain temperature. You can only go in at a certain temperature. You've got to have a wetsuit. So I got a swimming wetsuit, which I'd never worn them. So they restrict your stroke a little bit, but they give you a bit of buoyancy. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think somebody who was a pro swimmer, that it'd restrict the stroke. But for me, buoyancy helped me out a bit more than it hindered me with stroke. So we went there, joined this group, and you can only swim. They've got people on boats there. They've got people watching you. You know what I mean? I wouldn't advise anybody to just get in the lake and start swimming. Has to be a certain temperature. So I got in, set off swimming, and I'd already got my swimming sorted. Then I could swim for hours and not even be out of breath. Put my head in, you're just disorientated. It's like when you close your eyes and somebody asks you to walk. And I was thinking, it can't be that different from Metrodome. It were like walking with your eyes closed. You can't swim because it's pitch black.
Have you got your head in water most of the time then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you just start. I didn't think I was looking at... In Metrodome, I didn't realise I was looking at lines on floor, and I was looking at floor, and I was looking at things. I must have been. The minute I closed my eyes and it was pitch black. Yeah. I just put up my head up. I did about 4 or 5 strokes, put my head up, couldn't even swim in a straight line. I couldn't do anything. I just thought, I'm not able to do this. It's rock hard, freezing cold. But after you've done it a couple of times, you're sorted. You just have to get used to it. Yeah. So I started going there once a week. That were all right. And like I said, my distance wasn't that long. I knew I was going to be only in water 20 minutes doing my swim. So started doing that with swimming. Biking, again, it were only 20k. I used to just find hardest bike ride I could do from my house. I think I lived in town centre, so I used to go up towards Silkstone, then end up at Birdwell. I just used to try and find some hills because, again, I knew I wouldn't be biking for that long. So I used to just find an hour's bike ride with as many hills as I could just to get strong, so I'd be able to do it fast on day. Yeah. So I used to go and do that, jump off bike, throw it in house, and then just do a quick 5k run. So that was my training really. But every day I'd do something for 3 months. Some days I'd do 2, but just trying to do something because I thought I'm not really bothered over my time. I just don't want it to be miserable. I don't want to be miserable for 3 hours thinking this is killing me. It's horrendous. Yeah. I just want to enjoy it. So I think that pushed me to train. So my first one I did were at Bamber Castle, and like I said, swimming in sea, that's hard work. Just went waves against you. And also when you swim in open water, like at Metrodome, you can just keep your head down and you just put it up when you get to wall. You do 2 or 3 and then you have to look up. Your head comes up and looks where you're going, then you're back in maybe 3, 4, 5 strokes and your head comes up again. So you have to learn to do that, which I learnt in open swimming. It's just a different technique. So we did swim. We all set off front beach. We swam up, it's your K up beach, you swam, get out, and then there's sand dunes there. So you get, and I think I came out, I think I only did less than 15 minutes. I was faster than I thought. Came out, and then you're straight up sand dunes, running up them. taking your wetsuit off as you go, and then all bikes are lined up together. So everything's fast. You've got a triathlon suit on, which is it looks like an old-fashioned.
Yeah, weightlifting.
Yeah, it's not forgiving.
Moustache.
It's not forgiving at all. So you've got that on. It's got a right little padding bum, just for bike, but it can't obviously be too padded because it's wet through.
Yeah.
So it's got a little padding bum, just shorts and lycra top. You've got a sports bra on as well. You have to remember, whatever you get wet, you're carrying on in it. So you have to think about everything. A lot of them do. I think I did it without bra. I think I got one that was super tight. So I didn't want it to be wet through and rubbing everything. So you set off, peanut smuggling, obviously. You set off, you get to your bike, you pull your wetsuit off, shove your shoes on, and you jump straight on bike. And then it were up coast. That were quite an hard bike. It were nearly 20k up coast and back. And then run were on sand again.
On sand?
On sand. I couldn't have picked an harder one to do.
Heavy,
yeah.
It's heavy.
And I just thought to start with, I'll just run up to find hardest sand, and there just were no hard sand. But it were only 5k, you know what I mean? And I did it loads faster than I thought. You're in age categories, and because I were in my 30s, I were in a good category, and I think I came in top 10 or 15.
That's good.
But it's only because of age.
Yeah.
My age put me into a different category. So in my category, I came quite high, and I think I did that in something like 2:20, something like that, which I thought were a better time than I were going to get. Because you just get in race mode. I really enjoyed it. None of it were hard work, so training, and that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to enjoy it rather than it be a big slog. And then I did another same year at Roundhay at Leeds.
Yeah.
That were in Lake, which is an easier swim, but you're just contending with all reeds and stuff. But it were a nice swim that. Then you bike round town, and then run weren't that bad. It were a couple of laps round park. I think there were one big hill in it what we had to do a couple of times, but it were easier.
And then did you think I've ticked that off my bucket list?
Well, then I got pregnant.
All right.
Yeah, so I just really ain't been into my exercise since.
No.
Not as much.
So, as far as jobs are concerned, so we finished at you work for fire service.
Yeah, that's where I'm working now. Yeah, so for fire service, I work in their community safety department. So, a job I'm doing at minute, it's working with a lot of partners. So, youth engagement, SYP, Met Council. So it's working mainly with partners, going into schools, things like that.
So all your previous jobs that you've done, sort of with customer service and things like that, they've all sort of, all them skills have been put together and they've got you this job.
They have, yeah. I think I've had so many jobs, but most of them, main bit of it has been communicating with people and talking to people. And again, that's the main thing I do now, really.
I mean, one of the things that happened is you don't train much nowadays, do you? Because you ended up getting long COVID, didn't you?
So I've got long COVID at minute. I had COVID last February, and I've been diagnosed with long COVID now. And my main symptoms, what I have, is fatigue and muscle weakness. But I have a lot of sensory issues as well. Like in your kitchen, I struggled all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's just echoes. It depends where somebody's sat talking to me.
It's quite common. It's common in a lot of women.
It is. I've been to a rehabilitation centre a couple of times in Lakes. A lot of people with long COVID have been there, and I still have Zoom sessions with them. And they've seen a lot of people with long COVID. I was talking to her last week, and she was saying that they've seen a couple of hundred, so the numbers aren't big enough to count for any stats. But she was saying that they're mainly all people who they're seeing and talking to us, people who got it when I got it. So I think it were a bad bouter at that, last February. They're not seeing as many people come through now.
Yeah. I know more people that's got long COVID than I do know that's won big amounts on lottery. So you know what I mean? It is fairly common. And
people's symptoms are a lot different. When I went to that clinic, first time I went, there were only people there with long COVID. and most people had fatigue. Not everybody, some it were just the balance. But nearly everybody was struggling with just that tiredness and fatigue. But there weren't as many who were as weak as me. Like I have massive muscle weakness, where I have initial strength to pick something up, but then it's just gone. But there weren't that many people like that. And not everybody had problems with the balance. I lose my balance a lot if I stand still. If I close my eyes, I can't stand up straight. And not everybody had problems with that. So it's mixed, I think.
To come from sort of being really fit and, like I said, doing your Iron Woman. And,
Go on, keep saying that.
But like I said, it must be a real struggle, just every day. It's sort of part of your job, mentally as well as physically. It must be hard. I mean, I couldn't think of how it was, especially for being so active. Is it getting any better? Have you seen any light at end of tunnel?
I've been in hyperbaric oxygen chambers, just to see some people at Adam when I went to
What's that like, going into one of them? If you can just explain that.
So some are singular. One I go into, a few people are in it.
All right.
So you go in chamber and it might have 4 or 5 seats in. You sit in your normal clothes.
Like an octo.
Yeah, you're sitting in your normal clothes, and they lock it and then they depressurise it. So they take it to different levels. I think I go to highest level. They call it a dive because it's like a diver going under at sea. So they say which dive.
Do you have a
are you
mask
going
on?
to? Yeah, so you've got an oxygen mask fitted. Tube. So one's 100% oxygen coming in and then other tubes, your breath going out. And I think they said it were, one I go to is like being 33 foot under at sea.
Right.
So they pressurise it to a certain pressure, and then you're breathing 100% oxygen in. Some people go in and they're not pressurised, they just breathe 100% oxygen. But I think going in pressurised tank,
I'm trying to think what.
I think it takes that, it helps you take oxygen in more.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
I think
so. They want you to breathe more, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They want your body more oxygenated. A lot of people there, they go with injuries. There's people who've had injuries and they want them to mend quicker. A lot of athletes go. People with MS who've got this fatigue. There's a lot of people with neurological problems.
I've seen footballers with their masks on and they put them on a treadmill. I don't know whether that makes them breathe.
I think they're testing their lung capacity and stuff with them. Yeah. So I've had that bit, and I was doing a bit of research on it, and they were saying like ideal amount is these like get 40 hours in. So I would go in like 3 or 4 times every month trying to get these 40 hours in, and I was just struggling. I was struggling because it drive, my hands were cramping up just from holding onto the steering wheel, and I was struggling probably for the first 12 times I went. I couldn't keep awake after, and then I got a bit better. But I thought I've committed now. I don't know if it's working or not, but I'm just going to commit to these 40 hours. And it's first time. I don't know if I've also had COVID now for over a year, so I don't know if it's naturally time, what's making me feel better, or if it's this oxygen I've had. But my fatigue now isn't lasting as long. So if I overdid it, even like coming here and talking to you, next day sometimes after, I just feel knackered. Do you know what I mean? So even just like socialising and visually doing things can tire me out. It ain't always going for a walk or lifting something up heavy. And before, it were always a pattern where if I overdid it, and it didn't take much to overdo it, like next day or especially day after, I were just gone. And I'd feel rubbish for like 10 days, 2 weeks. And what I've noticed is that period of time of fatigue is shortening. So I don't know if it's because I'm gradually getting better or it's because I've had this oxygen. But you're paying for oxygen, so it's a financial burden. You're paying to go in. So I'm cutting them down. I thought, right, I've got them 40 hours in, so I'm cutting them down now to once or twice a week. Then I'm going to cut them down to 1. Then I'm hopefully going to stop going.
Well, Ellen, I think we've come to an end of this interview. I've enjoyed it. It's been brilliant. Just as one last question, because not a question to you, but who do you think should be on my podcast next? Can you think of anybody I should interview?
I don't know.
You recommend anybody?
What are you wanting? Are you wanting work-wise people who've had a lot of jobs, interesting jobs, or because some people have had the same job all their life, but they'll have some fantastic stories to tell you.
Well, this is the idea of doing all my friends,
All your mates, yeah.
To start with, yeah.
I think you should get Brody on, but I don't think he'll come on.
Brody.
He'd be funny.
We'll keep pestering him.
I
think Brody would be good. So we'll keep pestering Brody.
What about Andrea? She's got her own business, had loads, but I don't know if she'd come on. I don't know if she'd want to talk.
I'll ask Andrea. She's doing me essays, service accommodations. So she's going to design all interior for me.
Yeah.
So I'll ask her. I'll put it to her.
Yeah, she'd be good.
See. Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. And I was going to say, if anybody wants to contact you, how would they contact you? But I'm thinking you've got to be.
I ain't got my own business. I don't want them contact. If you want to contact me, don't bother.
Ringing up and breathing down.
Don't bother.
Is that you that were on Dance Sounds? Anyway, so that's it. We'll wind it up now. And thank you very much.
No probs.